Hey everybody, thanks for tuning back into another Tuesday Cruiser chat with OTRAMM. Sorry for the slightly being late. As soon as I logged on, our internet here decided to freeze. So hopefully it stays good throughout the rest of the chat. And I'm reading. Yeah, I just hit the mute. I forgot the volume was on my laptop. So first question, yes, somebody can bring me a transfer case and leave it while I put lower gears and then just pick it up later. We actually just had a guy call us from somewhere in California to see about doing that yesterday. And yeah, I know I should probably do artwork and stuff on t-shirts, but I am not good at art. I fix trucks. I can't draw and do art. Yeah, that is not my thing. You're lucky I got the logos like actually right. And I like my shirts, so I wear them. How will low lows affect highway? The lower low range gears don't affect highway at all because you're in high range. You can get the underdrive high range gears as well, which makes it like you've stepped down a gear set all the time. So it'd be like going from 410s to 456s. And those are what I actually put in a truck today. We'd already done the low ranges a couple of months ago, and he wanted the underdrive high range gears while it was back in for some more work. It seems like it's oddball cruiser week at the shop. We've got a 70 series in from Japan. We've got a diesel 80 that's in from Japan, and we have a Bandierante that came up from Brazil. So I'll be getting video of those soon. They just got dropped off, so we haven't actually gone through them yet. I finally got the 80 series rear bumper finished and painted. Painted it yesterday. So just giving the paint a chance to set up some, and then I'll put that on and do pictures of the finished product. But yeah, that's about all that's going on. And you can kind of see on the video, I knocked myself out at the shop this morning. So it was not a good day. I didn't realize Crash had lowered the lift some, or it was lower than normal. And I walked right into the lift arm. Crash came back in from smoking, and yeah, I was laying on the floor. So it was good times this morning. I've got a knot on my head. But yeah, same as usual. No plan for this evening. You know, whatever you guys want to chat about cruiser wise. And oh man, Cruiser Outfitters was calling me back about some parts I called them about earlier. So I'll have to remember to call them back first thing in the morning. Trying to find some oddball Japanese spec parts. And from what I've heard, they've got them. What else is going on? Finally got the bell housing and flywheel and all that jazz so we can mate the 5-speed to the 3FE for the fuel injected 40 swap. Yeah, so that'll Crash with sandblasting all those parts today. And yeah, I'm happy with the way the channel's growing. We've got way more subscribers than I ever thought we would. I thought 1,000 subscribers was a long shot, and we clicked over 1,400 last night. So yeah, growing well. We've got, a couple folks supporting us on Patreon, which is super awesome. I really appreciate the support. And yeah, I saw you rebuilt the supercharger. I saw the pictures on Instagram. It looked good. I hate pressing the front nose cone on those. Well, I haven't done the 80 series one, but the 100 series one, I was not a fan of getting the front bearing out. So how bad was it doing the 80 series one? Um, Theoretically, yeah, you'd probably want to drain the coolant before changing the heater T. But realistically, they're up high enough on the engine that you're not gonna lose a ton. Just swapping them out. Like if I'm doing one at the shop that's just in for heater T leaks, I don't generally drain it. I just change them and then top the coolant back up afterwards. When you're doing them, be careful. The two vertical pipes that come up from the back of the intake, if you're really rough with those, you can get them to come loose out of the crossover pipe in the back, which is not fun to fix. I was doing a supercharger once and bumped one of those pipes, putting the intake back on, and knocked it loose. And ever since then, I've been super careful when doing heater Ts. And on a 470, climate on the driver's side, temperature no longer adjusts. I've never dug into one. My guess would be one of the blend door motors. There's a bunch of little servo motors that drive flaps that direct the airflow back and forth. I would guess one of the servo motors has gone out. And if I remember correctly, you've got to pull the whole dash to get to them. It's not a super fun problem to fix. I had one apart, I guess maybe a year ago, to do a heater core in it. And I like double checked all of the servo motors to make sure they were all good before I put the dash back in. So not super fun. Doable, but it'd be a long couple of days to do it. And swap out the bolts that pass through the power steering pump. I'm assuming you're talking about on your 80 series. Are you talking about just the two bolts that hold the pump to the back of the timing cover? Because if you take those out, you won't lose any fluid. If you're talking about actually taking the pump apart, then yes, you're going to dump fluid. Hey, Alex, and I need to get in touch with you about doing some graphics for me. You're on my list. I just, yeah, we've been swamped, and I haven't had time to shoot you an email. But you are on the list of people to call. The one bolt that goes through the block, the double-ended one. Okay, so just like one of the big studs that holds the power steering pump onto the back of the timing cover. I'm guessing what Jailbreak's talking about. And that you shouldn't lose any fluid changing it. You may drip some oil when you crack the seal, but you shouldn't really lose any fluid as long as your power steering lines are still relatively soft and don't break when you move the pump backwards some. And yes, to Richie's other comment, pulling the dash is lame. I absolutely hate pulling dashes, which luckily I don't have to do it all that often. Whew. I am whooped this evening. We did house renovations all weekend, so I got no downtime, and I slammed the shop full of work this week to try to play catch up. And yeah, I'm worn out. Trying to think if there's anything else cool going on. Oh, Richie says he's doing big advertising for me. I can only guess what that means. I can only hope that it's good. Yeah, I totally forgot to do the reminder posts about live chat this afternoon. Richie's asking, how did the Resto Go donor truck? I'm not sure which truck you're talking about. And then are rear door lock actuators on 100 series a pain to replace? You know, I've never had to do them. They're on the other series, they're not horrible, but I've never actually done them on 100 series, so I couldn't tell you. And we've always got some kind of renovation going, but I put curved windows in our bedroom a year ago and never finished the interior trim or drywall. So I did the rest of the trim and then fake beams on the ceiling, and then finished up some paint work and installed some new lights. So yeah, always going through renovations here. And to Adam, yes, I know I was I told everybody I was getting ready to do a run of FJ62 exhaust. And we are running behind on that, but it is on the docket to get started on. So I should be sending out deposit invoices shortly so that I can start building those soon. Oh, and the old 60. Okay, so you're talking about the 3FE I pulled out of the 62 to put in the 40 series. We just got the last few pieces that we need to put the drivetrain together on that. Actually, like just this afternoon, got them. They've been going around like mud person to mud person, making their way back down from New Hampshire. So crash blasted those today. We'll probably paint them tomorrow, and then we can mate the drivetrain and drop it in. So it's coming along, but it's running behind schedule like everything else. And yeah, so yeah, we're working on getting the exhausts together because I've got to do half of a 62 exhaust for this transplant into the 40. Yeah. And the parts from New Hampshire, they weren't that bad because it was just a cast iron bell housing and a flywheel. Schmuckster got them from Kena up there, and then they made it back to PA with Schmuckster. And then he passed them off to John V from North Carolina over the weekend. And then John V brought them to me today on his way through town. So yeah, we're they've been all over the place. Yeah, and we are swamped. We started to lighten up on trucks at the shop right before Thanksgiving. And we counted this morning, and I think we've got 28 cruisers sitting out front now. And they all went from being, oh, yeah, it's just a small job, to lots of really big jobs. Yeah, John came by and brought the parts from Schmuckster to me today. And then he was meeting my dad after he left the shop, and I don't know what he was delivering to Dad. So who knows? He was playing postman today. Yeah, 28. There is no jailbreak overlander camping overnight spot. You can barely move in our parking lot. They're like triple stacked. We went from being, oh man, we're running out of cruisers here, to, oh man, there's too many cruisers here, like overnight, which is a good problem to have. It just means, Crash and I really have to crank work out. Dad's got a 76-ish FJ40 And I say 76-ish because it's kind of a hodgepodge of parts. And then Mom's got a 65 FJ45. And then I think they've got 380 series sitting out there right now. Yeah, I'm never going to completely run out of Land Cruisers, I don't think. But we were getting low. You could see the field next to the shop. I'm trying to think what the lows are. I think they're 3-1, but I'm not positive. I'd have to look them up. Shoot me a text in the morning to remind me when I get the shop to see what the ratio is on the low range TK skiers. Cool, yeah. Just shoot me a text, remind me, and yeah, I'll figure it out and let you know. And catch you later. Just had my valve adjusted and timing done. Sauce leak or two. Sweet. Yeah. So yeah, we we've been getting a lot of calls on the stainless exhaust. They take me a lot longer to build than I originally anticipated when we were doing them. So it's a lot harder to make time to build them than I originally thought it would be. Luckily, the FJ62 exhausts are a lot faster for me to build than the 80 series one. But it's still a matter of moving things around in the shop to get set up to do it. Hoping when we get the other side of the shop this spring, I'll be able to leave all the fabrication stuff set up. So it'll be a lot easier to just walk over next door and build an exhaust instead of having to move vehicles around to make room. But yeah, coming soon. Which I know I've been saying that for a while, but they really are. I'm going to get another batch of them together soon. And you're also on my list of people to email. I need to go online and order another batch of that Guatemalan coffee. That stuff was fantastic. I've been saving it for drinking on weekends. And I just finished off the bag last weekend. Been using the store-bought for during the week and drinking yours on the weekends when I can savor it. Oh. And sorry, I'm kind of slow with the filler this week. I'm still moving a little bit slow after knocking myself out this morning. No need to send me another bag. That stuff is super awesome, and I am willing to pay for it. People that make coffee that good should be rewarded for coffee that good. Yeah, we've got a local roaster, not too far from the house, and he's actually got a cruiser and is a customer, and he'll bring me by random samples. But he doesn't do much Guatemalan. And Adam S. sent me a bag of Guatemalan they roasted, and it was fantastic. Actually, I've got 2 local customers that roast. But one of them only does African coffees, which is really weird. He does a lot of the Ethiopian stuff, which I'm not a super fan of. Cool. I'll catch you later, and I will get an invoice out to you soon. Yeah, look, keep an eye out for an order because I need to order more. And I'm not sure what Guatemalan coffee it is. The coffee was cracked bean, I believe, out in Prescott, Arizona. Let me see if I still got the bag. I saved the bag because it was super awesomely good. It smells so fantastic. Yeah, it did. It was Guatemalan coffee that tastes like you were drinking it in Guatemala. Super duper good. My wife makes fun of me because I will huff coffee bags. Oh, it just smells so good. Get my double super coffee buzz. What, Killer Billy? It's not time. I got the dogs behind me again, thinking it's time for their DINNER. Sure. What would you like to know about doing the AHC delete on a 470? We've got a video in the playlists under the 100 series playlist for doing the HC delete. So yeah, I mean that goes through the process, but I'm happy to answer any questions you've got pertaining to it. And hope you feel better. Bronchial pneumonia is not good. Go rest. And to Alex, what's the story with the Blue 40? It's actually a Brazilian Bandeirante. Looks kind of 40-esque, but it's a Mercedes motor and some crazy weird axles that kind of look like Toyota, but kind of look like Spicer. It just got brought to the US, so it needs to be put together well enough to pass state inspection. And he dropped it off early. It's not actually on the docket till next week. So I haven't actually really looked over it besides a cursory inspection. But yeah, expect to see more video on that forthcoming. I actually did a bunch of video for the Sunday coffee that was supposed to be out this weekend. And when I went to edit everything, for some reason, nothing saved to the memory card. So all the footage I shot last week went poof. So that's why there was no Sunday coffee. And weighing long-term pros and cons on the AHC and deleting it. So I'm not sure what part of the country you're in or what your climate is. Here, they're rusty enough that all the lines are starting to rust through. And repairing them is kind of a nightmare because you're trying to replace a rusted line and things just keep breaking, carrying on, and you end up replacing all of the HC parts before you get to a fitting that will actually come loose. So our general advice is just to delete the HC and go over to the 100 series style suspension, whether it be from Old Man Emu or Tough Dog, somebody like that. I think in the long term, it's more easily serviceable, and I think it'll just hold up better. If yours is still functioning, then I would leave it be while it's still working well. But if it's broken, I would go to an aftermarket suspension rather than trying to patch it back together. And the Bandeirantes, they look like a 40 when you first look at them, but it's a factory Mercedes diesel. Even the center link for the steering, it's like in the same place as R40s, but it looks completely different. The dash kind of looks like a 40, but it's different. It looks like they kind of were like, hey, we're going to make this look like a 40. So yeah, it's a really strange. This is the first one I've ever seen in person. Guys, go in the living room. So yeah, it's odd. It looks like a cruiser front axle, but it's got an inspection cover on the front, like a Spicer style U-joint, and drum brakes on a 79. It's super weird. And to Eric, yeah, I'm hoping the noise doesn't come back after you have it fluid filmed. But if it does, let us know, and we'll go for another ride with you and see if we can hear it. Trilly and Atticus, go in the living room if you're going to play. Yeah, it's really strange, and I have never seen this much baling wire holding something together. It looks like somebody shoved milk bottles in where the spring bushings should go. It's just got strips of polyethylene in there. And hello to Scotland. It amazes me how people tune in from all over the world for chat. A few weeks ago, we had a guy from Scotland and a guy from Hungary on at the same time. Wow, 2 years is a short span for a new battery. Some of the new stuff we're seeing 6-7 years out of the factory batteries. Groaning sound when making turns. Have the upper control arms replaced. Same sound. Is it a groan that's groans as you turn? Or is it a groan that's rhythmic while you're turning, wop, 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 wop? Because my first guess is lower control arms, or not lower control arms, lower ball joints rather. If they get dry, they can make a grinding, groany type of noise. If it's a rhythmic rhythmic noise that changes with speed, I'd be looking more at your CV axles. Normally, you'll feel that in the steering wheel. But if it's a metal on metal kind of screechy sound, my guess would be lower ball joints. Oh. Changed upper and lower ball joints. I don't know. That's a weird one. Without actually hearing it, it's hard to say. I'm trying to think of what else. Does it do it every time you turn or only when you're hitting bumps? Because like the old cruisers and mini trucks like had plastic steering stop caps, and when those wore away, they'd make a grinding, screeching noise while you were turning if you were turned really tight and hit a bump. Huh. Yeah, I don't know, because my gut feeling would be ball joints. I'm not sure without hearing that one. And to answer Eric's question, I've actually got one of the NVH apps for a smartphone. I haven't played with it a ton. It didn't work great the first time I used it. And it's by the same company that makes the chassis ears where you wire up. It's like 5 or 6 microphones under the vehicle and then switch channels while wearing headphones to listen for noise. It's by them. It's Steelman. And maybe I was doing it wrong, but I didn't have good luck the last time I tried messing with it. But I haven't used that nearly as much as the full-blown chassis ears. So maybe I just need to play with it more. It seemed really cool in concept. I just haven't had good luck with it so far. And I just found Richie from Boston's advertising on Mud. He wasn't kidding that he was pushing it. Wow, who makes the one for 400? Because like I bought my chassis ears one like from the Matco dealer and didn't pay anywhere near that. I'd maybe look at your CV joints. I'm trying to think. I can't remember if I've heard it on 100 series or not. Sometimes there's like a nylon bushing inside the steering column that when you spin the steering wheel, you'll hear it. But that's usually more of a screechy, squealy, like rubbing a balloon kind of sound. And hey, Alex, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'll shoot you an email when I'm ready to do some graphics. It's one of those things that's noodling around in my head what I need, and I need to get in touch with you about doing it. And Richie says thumbs up help the channel. And Richie would know because he has way bigger channels than I do. And thanks, Richie, for posting the reminder on Mud because I totally forgot to do that today. I remembered it at like 3 o'clock. No, noodling like the catfishing where you do it barehanded. That kind of noodling. And I appreciate it. I had a guy call me about wanting me to come to Boston to look at an 80 series for him. So I almost got to come up and visit you. But it's starting to be too cold to be in Boston. See, now, Richie, you killed it. Now nobody wants to talk to me. Oh, and now I'm on Instagram too. Richie posted everywhere. So where are you off to this time? Are you going back to Moab, or are you going somewhere else on this trip? And Crash misses you. You need to come by and visit him. Oh, and I think this thing might be broken. ...2000 series. Center diff does not light up an instrument panel when shifted in low or center diff button is pressed. You do hear a slight click by the passenger side kick panel. Is the center diff locking? I'm going brain dead. Because there's two things. It could be that the center diff isn't actually locking, which could be a bad actuator. Or there's also a couple of limit switches that tell the computer what's going on down there. And a bad limit switch could be just not telling the computer what's going on. I haven't actually seen an actuator on 80 series or 100 series T-case go bad yet, but I have seen the switches go bad. And most of them I've seen, it's actually like where the connector plugs on, it gets brittle and breaks off, and the plug's actually unplugged because everything's broken off. If it actually is locking, it could just be a burned out bulb in the dash itself. But I would start with taking a look at the actuator switches. I'm trying to picture this in my head. I'm pretty sure there's two kind of above and to the driver's side of the rear output shaft, and then there's another one that's just forward on top in front of the shift motor for the center diff. And I should be able to visualize this better since I just put one of those transfer cases back together this afternoon. But yeah, it should be, and I'm trying to think which one goes to, I think the center diff lock actuator is the forward one that's just in front of the motor. The two on the rear shaft, I think, are high-low. Or the ones that are near the rear output shaft, I think, are the high-low. But it may need the signal from the actual lever shifting it into low range before it'll activate the shift motor to lock it. I haven't actually gone through the diagnostics on one of those before. But yeah, I would check the switches first, make sure they're all plugged in, and then make sure they're functional, because we've run across that more than once where it's had a bad switch, keeping it from shifting right. I actually had to crawl underneath one of the parts trucks this afternoon in the parking lot to rob one of those switches, because I broke one on the transfer case I was working on, and almost had to holler for Crash to go get a floor jack. The parts truck had all flat tires, and I got wiggled under there to get the switch out, and then could not get back out from underneath. I thought he was going to have to jack the truck up so I could get back out, but I ended up wiggling myself out and making it back in. But it was not fun. Okay, yeah. So yeah, and that's what I was thinking, looking at it from when I was putting it back together today. That the front one is the, like, what lights your dash up to tell you that your diff is locked. Yeah, and I knew one of the switches on the back was low range engaged. I wasn't sure what the other one was, but that makes sense. I guess for better or worse, I haven't actually gone through and read the theory of operation behind the center diff lock engagement. So far, it's always been something easy, just checking continuity on switches and finding the problem. I haven't actually had to trace wiring on them. Yeah, and luckily, the one that Phil's talking about at the 1 o'clock position is the much easier of the three switches to get to. Although the one that's next to it at like 11ish o'clock isn't terrible either. The front one's a lot less fun to get to. Ah, that also makes sense. Yeah, I've never actually paid attention to what they actually do. I just take a picture of the orientation of them before I pull the T case apart to make sure I put them back in the right order. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to jump off of here a little bit early this evening. I've been playing phone tag with Cruiser Outfitters, trying to order Breakmaster cylinder for an oddball truck. And I need to give them a holler before they close out in Utah. So I'm going to jump off of here a bit early, but I really appreciate everybody that tuned in. And really appreciate everybody that subscribed, everybody that's supporting us on Patreon. So yeah, really appreciate the support of the channel. ABS and VS BSC, track off, really without pulling the codes, there's no good place to start. On those kind of systems, you need the codes before you can really track down anything, or you're just going to be chasing your tail. And yeah, Dave, sorry you missed it, but I'm jumping off of here a bit early. But yeah, I'll catch you guys all next week. Same OTRAMM time, same OTRAMM place. Until then, have a good one. I'll catch you later. Appreciate it.